everybody, welcome back to You Can't Win. This is Tom here, and I'm joined by Don as usual. Today we have a very special guest. He's back again. It's Big Dave, and we're going to do a Q&A episode that's all centered around Dave giving advice to all the You Can't Winners who have sent in questions over the past week to our Curious Cat, and we've got a nice fat stack of these questions, so let's see what Dave has to say.
Hey now.
Yeah, how are you doing, Dave?
Good. Glad to be talking to you guys.
Yeah, this is a nice way to spend Valentine's Day, right?
Wonderful. Just another day in my household. It's haram.
Yeah.
Good man. We had Jimmy John's for lunch. That was our Valentine's Day.
That's sweet. We don't have that here, so one day I'll give it a try.
Yeah, I wanted to support free markets and liberty, so I decided to get some of their kickin' chicken sandwiches.
Nice.
Yeah, so let's do the first questions, huh? I'm not sure if this one was related to Dave, but I thought it was kind of fun. So we'll start with this one. It says, now that the COVID vaccine has proven super effective, will you guys admit to being super retards? I actually passed this one on to Mike, and he sort of had a laugh about it. I forget exactly what he said. He always talks in like highfalutin science words and stuff when we get into these subjects, so I didn't really understand what he was saying, but I think he was amused at the question.
You have to talk about cat boys, or like femme cat boys, to get Mike to devolve to our language.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you could like say that it's been proven effective or ineffective or anything yet. It's still pretty early. So.
They killed Homer and Hank.
What?
Homer and Hank.
Hank Aaron?
Yeah.
He died from the vaccine?
Yeah. He got the vaccine and killed them. What do you mean it's super effective at killing our heroes? Captain Tom Moore in England?
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's going to be killing off those guys, then I don't know if I stand a chance. So,
what do you think,
see.
Donald? Are you going to get the vaccine?
Yeah, I'll get it as soon as I'll do what I'm told. But I don't know. I said on Twitter the other day that like the only thing that is making me a bit worried is that they're rolling out all the black celebrities to promote it, kind of thing. Like they're making them like say this is great, I'm happy I got it and stuff, and it's like saying a lot of people being like we need to promote it in these communities and stuff, and that's never a good sign because like it's like CIA with crack or something like that kind of thing.
Yeah,
like
it's exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just tired of it. Like, I couldn't even have the boys over for Super Bowl this year.
Sure.
Like it was a sad outcome.
Yeah.
I start to get nervous whenever there's any good news, and I start to feel like, are they going to start making me go outside again? I get sweaty palms and stuff.
In BC, did you get like any notice or anything telling you when you're going to get it or anything like that yet? Or
they said that our age group should be getting it in April, but I don't know. We're so far behind because all the companies pulled a fast one on our boy Justin.
yeah.
And they withheld the vaccine, so we got to see.
Yeah, there's like a website on it, like in Ontario, I think, like theoretically, but they haven't like mailed us or anything or told us what to do yet. So I'm just, strapping in for the long haul.
Big Dave, first and foremost, I would like to congratulate you for your Aryan roots, unlike Muslim Tom, who is a race traitor.
Thank you.
Okay, that wasn't really a question, but... okay, yeah, so let's see. What's the next one? It says, what are some good long-term goals to shoot for? I don't know what to do for the last 50 years of my life and could use some pointers.
Yeah, that's a tough 50 years. So let's say, is he saying he's 20? Or, oh no, he's probably 30, right?
Yeah, presumably. I mean,
the goal is
very
80.
optimistic. You could die early. You never know.
Yeah.
Could be the last 3 years of your life.
See, the thing is, unless you're like go based and like go to like Asia and slum it there. Pretty much all you can do for the next few years is just try and save and put your head down and work and, do something like that. My goals, like I'm 43 and I've been lucky I got into the property game early, which is, so key for people like now. It's like so messed up out here. But my goals, I'm going to try and retire early and move to like Portugal or something. Race some
Oh,
goats.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Portugal sounds nice.
Yeah.
It's cheap and the weather is like perfect.
Yeah, it's not like overly, like it doesn't get too crazy hot, doesn't get too cold. It's, the food's good, you get fresh seafood and all that kind of stuff. And people seem okay. Like the Portuguese immigrants in like Canada are pretty bad, but actual Portuguese people seem nice.
Sure, yeah. And it's Dar al-Islam, so you can always wait for the caliphate to come back. That'll be good.
What's that street in Toronto that's got all the Portuguese on it?
I'm not sure the specific street. I lived near in one area. It was like St. Clair West kind of thing. Had like a lot of them. I'm not sure, but yeah, in the Corso Italian neighborhood, which is kind of funny. But yeah,
I know Gerard, the Trilio. He's a Japanese guy, and he's Italian, but he really hates the Portuguese in Toronto.
Do they are they like kind of like an immigrant community that like doesn't learn the language and that kind of stuff?
They're just like really, they're like more annoying Italians, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Well, a lot of like flags and honking on sports events nights and stuff like that kind of stuff. So
I see.
I think that's about it. Yeah.
But well, I don't know. What can you do? Like in this system, like it's just basically designed to grind you down and like kill your will to live. Like having a family. I love having a family. It keeps me happy and kids and stuff. But I know that's not for everybody, and it's pretty hard to afford a family and give them a comfortable life. But just find something that you can think of in about 10 years that you can do that's cheap and make it your goal. Sort of visualize it. That's what powerful thing for me is like visualization, man. Finding things I love. Like I love like fantasy sports and stuff. So that something for me to get into every day. It's you gotta pick your battles.
Yeah, some kind of fun hobby that's just like fun. You know, it doesn't have to be anything else. It's not all about like productivity and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I do think that idea of if you don't know what you want to do in the sort of vague overall future, you can always sort of set yourself up to be in a better position once you get there, kind of thing. Like you can just you can just take on a job that maybe you don't love and all that kind of stuff and just work at it for a while, work at whatever you're just, and then get yourself in a better position, and then in a few years things might come together and you're like, okay, well now I'm ready and in a better position. So you kind of have to have some faith that like things will get better at that point, but like I mean it's the best you can do, really. That's the thing. So
50 years is a long time, so something's gonna you're not gonna be able to plan everything out right now and it's just gonna go smoothly according to your plan. Like things are gonna happen, something's gonna change. Who knows, you meet people, like your job changes, maybe you end up moving for unforeseen reasons, who knows, all kinds of stuff could happen. So I wouldn't concern myself too much about it, right? Like you don't need to necessarily have every single thing nailed down.
Plans are good, but you gotta be able to be flexible because you never know what's around the corner. Like, you gotta have a balance. Like some people like 100% productivity, 100% like the other way, like just like forget about everything. But you gotta live your life one day at a time. But at the same time, have like a sort of an outlook of where you want to end up. When I was 30, I was like just fresh, like young kids and everything. I didn't really have that much of an idea, and it's tough. Like you just sort of at 30, you're barely grown up. It feels like.
Yeah, I mean that wasn't too long ago for you, like
13 years
a dozen
ago.
years. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so things can happen.
things can happen. Never count yourself out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This one is looks like it's about weightlifting. It says, "I want to move from 3 times a week full body weightlifting program to something that has me in the gym more often, ideally 4 to 5 times a week, just because I have the time and I am in a good groove with it. At the same time, I really want to focus on building up my weakest muscles, triceps, delts, and pecs, the benching muscles. Whenever I look at split programs, I get really overwhelmed by all the options. I've been doing the same program on and off for about 6 years. Do you have any advice on how to choose a program? Any particular programs you care to recommend?"
No. I do sort of like that maze.
Does this guy sound like he's sort of above your level or something? Or
yeah, I go to the gym a bit, but like I barely can work out my pecs anymore because my shoulder's so bad. But it's getting better now. But I don't know, just do lots of push-ups, I guess.
all right, the Big Dave program.
What
do lots of push-ups, I guess.
What do you do, Tom? What would you say? You used to be into lifting, right?
I used to, like, a while ago, and I've been really on and off, like 90% off. So I have no real advice. I do some body weight stuff now and then, and it's mainly just like squats, push-ups. I don't know what the names for some of these things are, but like some kind of lunge kind of thing. And I've been doing like these stretches for my posture to kind of like fix the way my hips sit, because they're kind of like rotated or like tilted poorly. So I do this thing where I like sit with my like feet up on the wall, like making a 90-degree angle with my knees are at a 90-degree, and then I like lift one foot in the opposite arm and then do the other one and stuff like that.
Find somebody to grapple with, like this guy. Start throwing some bros around.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah,
you'll work out lots of different muscles than just lifting. You need to use them, or get a job landscaping on the weekends.
Yeah. Yeah, I was getting into a decent groove with this stuff before the quarantine, and once that happened, I just was like, I tried to keep up with it, and I just lost the motivation. I don't know, just not having to like go outside much, it kind of just killed my motivation somehow. I don't know. I've been trying to get back into it recently, but so far it's still kind of like touch and go.
You just gotta try and keep up with it.
Yeah, push through the initial like inertia of it and make it a routine, and then once it's a routine, it doesn't feel like it's not so hard to keep up with it. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, I've had a lot of false starts during quarantine because I was like, oh, this is like an ideal time for me to actually get into shape or whatever, and then I don't know, I've been using like a little weight thing that I have that, and stuff like that, and doing the body weight kind of stuff, but it's one of those things where I'll do it like maybe once a week or something, and then the rest of the time I just feel too like tired and stuff, and I know that like rationally it's because I'm not doing it kind of thing, like, so it's not like if I was exercising more I would feel more high energy kind of thing, but yeah, so
working out at home is kind of annoying too. I get to the gym and it's just like nice because you're there and you have to work out, so at home you can mess around and stuff like that, and especially now with COVID they give you a set time for your workout, so you have to like do all the stuff you want in a certain amount of time, so that's worked good for me. But yeah, it's annoying to do stuff at home.
I've always preferred doing that stuff at home, actually. I don't really like going to the gym. I just don't like that it's like an additional part of this chore to like go to a specific place to do it. I don't know, just rather just like do it at home, and then as soon as I'm done I'm home, then it's done.
Yeah, I get that, but I've always liked it for some reason.
I can understand it. It's different for different people.
I always join the gym ever so often, like once a year or something like that, and then I quit because I always feel like I'm too out of shape to actually do much at the gym, at the start. So it's kind of like, I don't know, and it's usually a big hassle for me to get there and everything. So I just um, it just I end up feeling like it's so expensive sometimes out here. Like the YMCA here, their membership is something like $75 a month or something. So
Oh yeah,
it's
that's
like
crazy.
I don't know. Yeah, and there's like a good life and stuff, but I feel like you know morally opposed to good life or something. I don't know because they're so aggressive and,
Yeah,
and rude.
they're
And stuff,
annoyed.
so.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
hilarious. Yeah. Anytime you go in there, they'll like phone you forever afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you said something about you feel like too out of shape to go to the gym or something.
Yeah.
If you're feeling like not confident or you're feeling like kind of embarrassed or something, it's like prison. You got to go in there first day, make someone else your bitch, take their lunch, take their protein shake, just
No.
establish
Yeah.
dominance.
I just mean that like I'm not physically like I go in there and I'm like on the treadmill for like a few minutes or something and then I feel tired already.
Right.
It's like it seems like a waste of money to just do that when I could just do
you
more
can just
exercise
jog
at
to the
home
gym and then go home.
Yeah.
You don't have to go in it.
So, yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the next one here. After current things like COVID, Brexit, etc., sort of die down, what do you see being the next life-changing cataclysmic event being? Like another banking collapse, war, or something?
This is from my buddy Connor. He wants to point out that this Connor with one N, so he's not associated with the awful Connors that we've come to see on on Twitter
Okay.
from Scotland. You know what? That's a tough one. I think. What do you think? Like the Balkanization of America, maybe.
Really? I don't know if that's ever gonna happen.
It just feels like it. Just feels like it's just like that's such a irreparable country. Country, like people will be like, okay, let's just break off and do our own thing because nothing happens, in the White House. But I guess like when you see like others, I don't know, the whole country seems so broken that it's pretty wild to me, anyways. Probably other than that, maybe like a mass like pestilence of like, or like a not a pestilence, but like like everything dying out, like a crop, like a massive crop failure or something like that. I could see that happening soon, but yeah, one of those things.
Yeah, something environmental seems like the safest bet. Like if you were gonna place a bet on something like this, I would go with something climate change related.
Yeah. I feel like there's going to be a war, but it'll be in some place that no one knows about yet. Really, not that no one knows about, but like they're not like experts on it yet. It'll be like in Costa Rica or something, and then people will be like, just some place that is not really a flashpoint right now for Americans, and then of course everyone will become an expert on it within like minutes, kind of thing. They'll be like,
Yeah.
oh yes, the history of Costa Rica tells us that we, yeah.
America might try to steal our water though. Like,
Oh yeah.
like that would be crazy. Don't you think? Like
Yeah,
or the North Pole or something like that. I could see that happening.
Annex Alberta or something.
Yeah, they can have Alberta.
Steal, yeah.
Your buddy Jason saying they can keep up.
I'll hold you to it. I'll hold you to that. We'll take Alberta. We'll make the desert bloom up there. All right, next question says, what should I do about being a fail son approaching 30 with no career and no girlfriend? Kind of similar to that other question.
I don't know. What do you see? I got married young, and so that's a tough one for me. What are your guys' thoughts? Like, once you get to a certain age, I think you have to just sort of relax, maybe get offline and try. Like, it's tough now with COVID, but just say after COVID, just take a shitty job and get out there. I think you'll find like girls, like even if you got a job at Walmart or something, like you meet more girls and stuff than like being online and talking to people on Twitter.
I definitely think that is a good first step, like kind of reducing your just the time that you spend doing absolutely pointless activities like that.
Exactly right. You got to get off Twitter or just there's so much like shitty work out there. Like I know it sucks, but like I can't believe it. People that like my friend was saying in Philadelphia, like food processing plants and stuff like that, they'll be paying them $9 an hour.
Yeah.
Like it's so crazy, but you know, like you gotta do something. But like someplace like a Walmart or a restaurant where you can meet people, you can talk to people, and just get out of that cycle of being home and online all the time. You just gotta you gotta break that cycle.
Yeah, whenever I've had jobs like that, it's not fun, but there's something weirdly enjoyable about the fact that everyone else is sort of miserable too.
Exactly,
you know, like you're working with a bunch of people in the same situation, and even if you're just making like a crummy $9 an hour or whatever, it's better than nothing. You like just having the camaraderie of a bunch of other people to commiserate with is sort of, I don't know, you'll be surprised how much that can like be meaningful in some way, you know, and eventually you move on to something else, you know.
Right. Because it does break that cycle of like just nothing, and you're like sort of applying and you're like not getting what you wanted and stuff. So it just it breaks you out of it. Like it makes you feel like you can do more. I think that's what I think, anyways. Like I know it's like a cheesy thing or idea or whatever, but like by the time you're 30, you got to get out of the house because like it just weighs on you and it makes you like sort of even more kind of like it compounds because you're like, oh, I'm not doing anything, but I'm at home. And then you get online and people are doing stuff and you go, oh, I wish I could do that. And then, oh, I should be doing this. And then, you know, it's just a cycle that then it just keeps weighing you down. And that freezes you. Like, I understand that feeling that where you're almost like feel like you're frozen, that you shouldn't be able to do anything, but you just got to do one thing and sort of, you know, start turning things around. I think you just got to find that right gig or whatever it is, and it'll make all the difference in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I was in that exact situation, I guess, and I still am to some extent. But like the difference is that maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I started to go back to school a bit, and
that's a good
got out of the, you know, and did like you know, it started taking jobs at school and stuff, and then, you know, like basically like from 2018 or so, whatever, I was just out of the house every day going to school, and I was just out, you know, for 12 hours or whatever, doing or more, like just doing stuff, and that helped a lot in terms of I mean, it was like difficult health wise and stuff, mm-hmm. but it was a very good thing to do in terms of showing myself that I could do certain things that I put my mind to and stuff, and you know, just it you know, it helped set me up where now I feel like I'm kind of in that, you know, I feel like I'm very optimistic about the next 5 years, I guess I would say, about that kind of stuff. Like it really helps me, like all the stuff that I've been working on and stuff makes me feel like, okay, I'm just going to keep building on success, and then maybe I'll have some setbacks, but I'll kind of get ahead eventually, kind of thing. And I think that even that like a little bit of sense of maybe things will get better over time is very helpful, because otherwise you just feel like you're, I mean, it's very easy right now to feel like all days are the same kind of thing, especially if you're at home.
Exactly.
But like, especially, I mean, if the 1,000-year quarantine ends relatively soon, then like, yeah, as long as you got like a little bit of hope and like an activity and stuff, I think that's helpful. So yeah.
Oh no, for sure. Like that little bit just gets you like so much, like feeling so much better. I know, like just we talk almost every day, right? Like you, like the difference between like before you went back to school to now is like so much different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's good. I don't know, and I mean I'm not doing much right now, but like yeah, it's one of those things where it's a lot different, where I feel like COVID. Better positioned and stuff. Yeah,
fucking COVID.
You know, even just like stuff people, you know, and people respond to that, I think too, and people that you didn't expect to, like, will reach out to you and be like, you know, do this or do that, or different ideas and stuff. So if you seem like you're on an upward path at some extent, so yeah.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
All right, we'll do the next question now. I can never wake up in the morning when my alarm clock goes off. What it do?
Put
I
it
think that's
across the room.
what it do. Yeah, that's the old trick, right? Put it on the other side of the room so you have to get out of bed.
Or get like
If
these Alexa ones. Like we have the Google Mini thing, and you can just crank it, and you can set the setting for it to not turn off after a certain time, because my one daughter, she has real problems with that. So
Yeah.
she has so much trouble getting up. So like she set it up so that like it'll keep going. Like she has to say it like 4 or 5 times before the alarm will turn off. And it's super loud. Like it wakes us up too, so it's good.
That's good.
I saw some apps that are like you have to do like a math problem to turn off the alarm.
Oh, okay.
Like not something crazy, but just enough that like it's hard to do when you're kind of like half asleep. So it like wakes you up enough just having to
That would kick
multiply the
ass.
numbers or whatever.
Yeah.
I think some people also are better with like it vibrates like under your mattress or something. I've seen alarm clocks like that. Like you put it under your mattress and it like buzzes, and then that kind of makes. I don't know exactly how well those work. I've just seen those before.
I don't know about that, but maybe.
Yeah. Well, as soon as I started to describe them, I'm like, that sounds really bad, and like it doesn't work. But
Yeah, but like they do have the gradual ones too that take like a long time to. You can kind of set it 15 minutes ahead of time or something. It just slowly gets you up or whatever.
Right.
That might help I feel like maybe if it's the suddenness that bothers you or something, maybe then yeah.
Yeah, I wake up to the trash trucks like going through the alley. And they just like make a loud beeping, so that's my alarm clock. I actually don't set one. All right. So next one is: can Big Dave show his dick?
No, my wife hasn't even seen that.
Okay. So I read this as it says can you do it? So like can you physically do it? Not would you like to do it, or would you?
I could, but I won't.
Got it. Okay. Just looking for some clarity on that. All right, next one. Big Dave, do you think Ole has proved himself enough this season to be trusted long term, or will an injury to Fernandes send his house of cards tumbling?
This is a soccer related question, and Ole was an ex-striker for Man United, Norwegian guy, really good. They call him the babyface assassin. And he's come back, and he's done sort of well, but, like with anything in life, management in sports has become very disposable. I think the best thing you can do is just wait it out, see if you can build a franchise with a guy, because getting rid of a manager every time there's a dip in form is bad news. I know, like, baseball seems to be more one of the only sports left where the manager gets a long time to get things right, because teams are always tanking. but like soccer and football's still okay, but hockey and like as soon as like there's a dip in form, like they just want to get the manager out right away.
Mm-hmm. I like that a Norwegian guy has a Mexican type of nickname. Babyface Assassin is you think that's like a Mexican name, and he's doing this Latino sport basically. That's
it's because he always looked really young when he was playing, but he was a good player back in the day. He scored a big goal, like he beat Bayern Munich in the Champions League in '99. Still got rug burns on my knees from celebrating that at the pub.
That's cool.
I just to clarify, it wasn't on my knees for any other reason, but I was doing like a knee slide to celebrate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess we're like 2 weeks to spring training or something for baseball. I'm looking forward to it. Although I enjoy watching the Raptors more than baseball now, I think. But like maybe this year will be different. I don't know, because they got a good team this year. It looks like they picked up a lot of people. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
it's exciting. I love what's his name, George Springer. Is it George?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Springer. Oh, he's one of my favorite players. He's awesome. The only thing is we have like bad pitching, like Robbie Ray and Taiwan Walker, I think. But Ryu's cool, but the rest of the pitching is so bad.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I don't know. Maybe they'll just produce enough runs that it won't matter. We'll see.
Yeah.
Was Springer on the Astros when they were cheating, or did he leave before that?
No, he was on the Astros when they were cheating. But he's like he's not like the type of guy that really needed it. He's a Altuve type of player. Sure. Like he wasn't like Altuve. It's like a midget, or Bregman's like just a dinger hitter. Like Springer's like a really good player.
I like Altuve. He's fun.
Yeah. Manlet.
And Taiwan, I don't know. I have a soft spot for Taiwan too because he came up through the Mariners. And
that's right. Yeah.
He can turn it around. I don't know.
Mariners have some fun young guys, but it's annoying that like the owner doesn't really want to spend to win.
No, they seem to like to just like build guys up and then sell them off. And
exactly.
It's really I don't know. It's a really stupid strategy, and they just keep doing it over and over again.
Well, there's a few teams they were saying that have a payroll less than what Trevor Bauer's making. I think there's like 3 or 4 teams that their whole entire payroll is less than what Trevor Bauer's making this year for the Dodgers, which is crazy. Like they're just asking for the sport to die right now. The owners, they're sort of, I don't know, they're hastening it to its demise.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's still being fun to watch the Raptors, even though they're sort of having a rough year comparatively. But like, I don't know, I still enjoy watching most of the games. So
yeah, it's fun.
All right, next question. Is it okay to be racist against Chinese people? They are a culturally and genetically superior race after all, so it seems natural to resent them for it.
That's a tough one. I don't think so. I think you can be sort of annoyed at them culturally. Like, I don't think it... Like, racism, it's a funny thing. We enjoy it as a joke. It's funny and stuff, but I don't know. Like, are they really that superior culturally to us?
Yeah, I kind of am questioning the premises of this question here. And genetically superior? I mean, I don't know.
Not genetically, like, obviously.
They gave us COVID.
Would you say, like, maybe Mongolians are more genetically superior than Han Chinese?
Clearly. Obviously.
Yeah.
Us Scythian Aryans are genetically superior.
Yeah.
To me, like, racism means you are on some kind of really dumb, like, you're just, like, completely irrational, like, it just, like, eats you up every day, this kind of, like, stupid, petty hatred.
Exactly,
the
right?
kind of, like, anti-black sort of stuff that people have in the West, I guess, or the United States in particular.
Yeah. Okay.
When you talk about something like the Chinese or whatever, like, that enters, like, a different thing where it's not exactly racism in the same way. It's more like you are, you can like dislike them, but do people get that crazy about like Chinese people? I don't know, to the extent that they're like lynching them in the streets and stuff.
I guess
I don't know.
We went back to like
they used to
early centuries.
That's true.
San Francisco, like that, it was pretty bad back then, right?
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
But I just think like, I don't know. What's the point of getting so riled up, right?
Yeah.
I watched Deadwood last year. I like watched through the whole thing, and there's a lot of anti-Chinese racism in that, but it's always like so over the top that it's like funny. I don't know, and I don't know. Like this one guy in it, he like yells at a Chinese guy for speaking Chinese, and he calls it monkey talk, which I thought was funny. Yeah.
Classic. think so. One of the greats.
Yeah.
Like the thing. Well, I always like to joke. Like I always say, like I hate Albanians or something like that. But like,
Yeah.
have you ever felt like I find it like even hard to hate singular people in any fashion. But
Yeah.
like, could you bring yourself to like hate somebody that much that you think they're worse, like they're like lower than you in any way? Like I don't have that like sort of built into me. Like I really like I joke about white people all the time and stuff like that, but I don't really look at Don and think like, oh man, he's subhuman scum that he should be like worshiping me because I like person of color excellence or something, you know, like that. You know, like I think that's a lot of silly stuff online, but like the average person really, I don't think hates that like in their heart of anything.
Yeah. And then there's like I was saying, there's kind of a difference between that and just being like maybe not liking some sort of culture or whatever, like just or whatever your particular experiences with them have been negative, so you just have negative feelings about them.
Exactly.
That's not great, you know, but that's gonna happen. There's not much you can do about that. That's just like, you know, that happens with all kinds of different things in life, and it would be kind of weird to like set aside this category of like, no, you're not allowed to have negative feelings about things when you have negative experiences. You know what I mean?
Like, say the first time you had oysters and they were like bad and they were disgusting, and you're like, for the rest of your life, you're like, oh, I hate oysters. But then the somebody finally convinced you and said, hey, let's try like these fresh ones. Like we're at the ocean today. Just give it a try. Just do one, and then all of a sudden you had a fresh one, and it was like so great. And finally you're like, oh, I totally changed my mind. I don't hate oysters, I guess. Right. That's a bad analogy, but you know what I mean.
Well, if people had been like ostracizing you and like, you know, shaming you for not liking oysters all these years, and like making it like you're a bad person for not liking oysters, you probably would never get to a place where you're like, okay, I'll try these ones, because you'd have that would develop the resentment. You know, you get a big chip on your shoulder.
Dude, that's so true.
So. Yeah, so I guess the answer is yes, you can be racist against Chinese people. In fact, you should be.
Uh-oh.
You're right.
Maybe I'm gonna get taken. Yeah, we're gonna get taken down from our hosting, but we'll see. Maybe it'll be worth it to get the truth out, though. Yeah.
The consensus on that, I don't know.
Okay.
All right, the next one is a poem someone has written for us. It says, Don looks like a potato, Tom looks like a bean. Together, Tom and Don have the worst podcast the world has ever seen.
Oh no, that's false. Because I've listened to some really bad sports podcasts, and they're really bad. Also, like, there's like, what did I listen to? Oh, like I know, like it's cliche to say this, but have you listened to like that Red Scare one? I listened to a little.
I've listened to some of it. Yeah.
I listened to a little clip on Twitter the other day, and it's just like, oh my god, like this is like listening to like the fingernails dragging on a chalkboard kind of thing, like just the voices and the inflection. It's just so not for me.
Yeah, I can understand that. I listened to like Anna went on Tim Dillon's podcast the other day. I listened to that yesterday, and it was okay. It's weird. Like they the whole Red Scare thing. They are not the type of people that I would like socialize with. Like but the stuff that they kind of say, like their perspective is sometimes kind of funny or interesting on some level. Like, I don't know. It wasn't that bad. I don't have any bad feelings about that or anything.
It's not so much the content. haven't really listened to it, but just the presentation and everything. It's just so bad. Like, I just really did not like it.
Yeah. The whole they seem like they're both like sleeping pills are just kicking in, and it's like 1 hour until they're you know just completely yeah.
I've not listened to any of it. I don't know, it's just not for me, so it's not aimed at me, I don't think so. I don't know either, so
there's plenty of podcasts out there that are really bad, and I think that person should retract his poem and do some thought and some soul searching and grow.
Yeah, I mean, have you guys heard this podcast called Come Town? Oh my God, they say so much racist, terrible things on that podcast. I could not believe it. Just awful.
Yeah, too many swears.
Yeah. Okay, any of you guys into the music of Lawrence? And then in parentheses, Felt, Demon, Go-Kart, Mozart.
No.
That
No.
sounds... Yeah. That sounds like Red Scare music. I feel like Felt sounds familiar.
That
like,
guy,
is that EDM?
Those guys that got canceled a few weeks ago for being at the protest, John Mouse and Ariel Pink, like apparently they're really big, but I had never heard of them. I listened to like the worst like pop, like the worst like recent SoundCloud rap or whatever, like I'm listening to Polo G, The Baby, and all that kind of crap, all that stuff. I have no idea like what guitar-based music sounds like right now, because the only guitar-based music I listen to is like 90s or 80s stuff.
Yeah, I don't listen to anything really. Whenever I feel like listening to music, it's everything I like that I like is like from 2014. Or stuff that I liked in high school. Like those were the two phases where I actually paid attention to music, and that's just what like music should sound like to me, I guess. But Ariel Pink, I think I never listened to John Mouse, but Ariel Pink sounds familiar. I think I listened to him a little bit back in the day. He does that like lo-fi weirdo art pop stuff. I don't know. Not really my thing. Mm-hmm. I like the trolling thing, I gotta support that though. If he's doing some kind of protest Trump trolling stuff, that's fun.
Yeah.
Next question here says 4-way cage match between Zizek, Noam Chomsky, Michael Parenti, and Christopher Hitchens. Who comes out on top?
So
I think
Zizek, Parenti.
Yeah, Zizek, Parenti, Chomsky, and Hitchens.
So it has to be sort of like at some point in their life, I guess, because Hitchens has passed away. So I would still say Parenti because he's got that like New York accent kind of thing where he sounds like he could be like a scrapper kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he would be pretty tough to fight.
Hitchens might have like drunk strength though. He might just be completely blacked out and just waving a bottle around.
Sure. Yeah.
Chomsky is just getting crushed. At whatever age, even take him at his like physical peak, I think he's getting ripped limb from limb.
I don't know. Maybe he would like pull out a pen and stab him in the neck or something. So.
You gotta go through this, right? Because I think that Eastern Europeans that hard life, you can't trust those guys.
Yeah, he might have something up his sleeve. I feel like he would not do well, but maybe I'm underestimating the tenacious nature of the Eastern Europeans. I'm going to go with Parenti on this one.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sticking with Parenti, so.
All right. Next one says, I've recently been steadily employed, so I moved out of my parents' house, and now I'm renting an apartment with my good friend. What's some good advice you could give me about how to maximize this time? Should I pursue home ownership? What are some good boundary rules for living with a roommate who isn't your parents? All right, so these are three kind of separate questions here. So maximize time when you're living with a roommate. I'm not sure what that means to maximize your time. Is that to get the most out of it, or
I guess just like savings or something? Yeah. Getting ready for
That sounds good.
Keep the place as clean as you can, because there's a huge temptation there to just let it slide, and then also don't try to get into fights with your roommate. Like just let them do whatever they feel like most of the time. Don't get in their way. Having like people in their 20s, a lot of the time they want to like lean into roommate fights and stuff. I don't know. Just don't bother them. I don't know. I would say I don't know. You see a lot of that. People just like
Just on the like saving sort of tip, I mentioned this a lot, but my recommendations are, as always, to like budget, like to get serious about budgeting. I find for myself that really helped out a lot, and uh, and to have like a sense of what your goals are, so that you are focused with your savings and your money and what are you doing. I think that really helps out with money, but also with time. You know, like if you have a sense of like, where am I trying to get to, then you're not going to just be like, you know, just spending weeks without really putting in any effort towards that.
Yeah, and reach out to somebody that's good at it, because I'm awful at it. My wife is like totally like changed my life. Like she is so helpful, like with the budget. I know what I have to spend every week, and if we want to do this and that. And I'm totally useless with that kind of stuff. I would be in financial ruins without Mrs. Dave.
Yeah, having a budget is like if you're playing like a game, you know, like a first person shooter. You know how much health you have, you know how much ammo you have, all that kind of stuff. Imagine if you didn't have that. That makes it much more difficult. Having a budget is like telling you that information.
Yeah. And the whole home ownership thing, it just depends on where you are. Like right now, money is basically free, but is it going to last that way? Are you in a place where like everything's at the peak? Like, is it worth home ownership? Can you go someplace where things are a little bit cheaper and your dollar goes a bit further? Like, it's insane. Like, Canada, everywhere is juiced to the max. Maybe, like, Alberta's falling a little bit, but I doubt that. But, like, we're in, like, this insane real estate bubble right now. So, like, I would not recommend getting into the market right now. Just buy stocks or something and put it in a tax-free account or whatever. But, you know, there's places like, you know, our buddy Ron BuzzFeed, he bought a beautiful house in, like, Peoria, Illinois, which is just south of you guys, Tom. Like an amazing house for like under $200,000 with this gigantic lot, but I guess there's nothing really there, right? Like, you know, unless you can either work for home or work at the university there or something like that. It's kind of, you know, those towns are dying. But if you can get to a small town like that, then it's definitely worth it. But not in the places where everything is juiced right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the average house price in Toronto now is over $1 million. It's like pushed up beyond that. So, yeah.
Yeah. And as far as good boundary rules for living with a roommate who isn't your parents, unless you guys really, really have it together in terms of sharing things and like eating together and stuff, keep your groceries separate.
Yeah.
Or have a very clear idea of what is shared and what is not. That can, because it's not necessarily just about that person. It's about that person and everyone that person brings into the house, you know? So like their friend comes over, they've been drinking a little bit, and then it's like, oh man, can I have some of this? That's actually yours, but you would be okay with him having it. But now it's like him and his 3 friends. Now it's all, you know, it leads to all kinds of like edge cases where you're not happy with it, even if you're okay with like the 90% of the time the way that would go. So you just want to have very clear, you know, just clear boundaries in that sense. You should stay on point with in terms of not being late with payments and stuff, because then if things become an issue with the other person, you have some ground to stand on. So you don't want to be getting into an argument about like, oh well, you were late for this, and you know, why can't I, you know, give me a week, and you know, all that kind of, you don't want to get in an argument like that.
Yeah, like I said, it has to be sort of a business decision.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're sort of in that kind of a situation with them, so keep it professional as possible.
Yeah. You should be aware of each other's schedules, you know, like if you guys, do you wake up at the same time for work? What kind of a quiet time, kind of quiet hours sort of a thing do you want to do? Like if one person doesn't care and will just stay up until 4 a.m, really loud music and stuff like that, the other person has to get up at 6, that's not really going to work, you know? So you need to kind of settle what the situation was with that and make sure that you respect it. Yeah, and also just like I would always communicate when you're going to have other people over or anything like that, you know, like even if it's something that you think they would be cool with, like it's always good just to kind of establish a precedent of like, you know, always mention it, you know, like someone's coming over, just say it, you know, and then they will kind of understand like, oh, this is the way we want to do this, and then they'll probably return the favor. So don't just stick to the letter of the law, but like kind of go beyond that a little bit, because it'll buy you some like goodwill, so to speak.
Sure.
Yeah, I used to live in a place with 9 people, so I kind of have a.
Oh, that's crazy. I lived in a place
like
with
I know how this works.
4 guys, but we all had our own rooms, which was nice. Like it was like a house, it was like a total party house. But you know, like once we got everything sorted out, like the food and the money about cable and phone and all that kind of crap, like because back in the day before everybody had cell phones, right? So you had to have a house phone.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm so old. But once you got all that figured out and everybody was on the sort of the same page, we had like a little chart and stuff like that. It went smoothly. The first few months were rough, but after that, it all went smoothly and it was good vibes.
Yeah, once it's sort of like established, it's not a problem. It's just that it's when it's really kind of unspoken and not really understood by everybody. That's when it becomes problems, because you just make too many assumptions about what the other person is thinking and what their motivations are for doing things, and you just want to be clear with everybody.
Yeah.
The situation I was in was very bizarre, or it started out great for the first couple of years, but when you have that many people living in the same space, like there's a little bit of turnover, so it's not the same kind of dynamic over a long period of time. So one person moves out and then someone else takes their place, and that changes things, and then somebody else changes up, and it's just like a constantly shifting thing. And after a couple of years, it started to get kind of bad. We had sort of like a upstairs downstairs situation. The downstairs, I was in the downstairs, it was technically the basement, and that was a little bit cheaper. And over time, it was really funny how it became it was almost like this class society of like the people that live underground, the mole people, and then like the upper class elites that live on the top.
You're the lumpen down in the basement.
Yeah. After a few years, the people living up top were these kind of like woke like girls, they kind of were like really into that kind of stuff. This was in Seattle, so it's like that's the thing. And I was living downstairs. There was this other guy who came from Tennessee, and he came from like extreme poverty. Like he used to tell me about like how his bathroom did not have a floor. It was just like mud. It was dirt. It was just completely unfinished. They didn't have water for long periods of time and stuff. It was just like this crazy situation where you had like these woke like college kid types, and then like I was sort of in between that and the the other people that were living downstairs, and they eventually started to want to like keep us out of the of the upstairs area. They kind of like made up these sort of like passive aggressive sort of rules about like why they wanted that to happen and stuff. And so that kind of made me want to like retaliate, so I started like just blaring Space Ghost Perp whenever they had people over and stuff. And it was not great by the end of it, and it was really just because one person moved in and kind of like elevated the like antagonistic sort of feeling in the house about like, oh, I don't like the way you talk, I don't like that you said this, and all this kind of stuff, and people started picking sides, and it just became this very strange like microcosm of class warfare.
Yeah, too much.
It's funny.
Anyway, let's move on here. This question says, do you guys meditate? I've been managing the pandemic much better since I started doing it. I'm sorry to report, however, that I've been using the Sam Harris meditation app, despite his status as persona non grata at the You Can't Win Clubhouse. Namaste.
Yeah, I meditated a lot. I learned taught myself just from YouTube videos, TM type of things, like not paying for it because it's a scam. Like they want to make you pay so much for your words and stuff like that. But I don't do it as much as I used to. When like I had a pretty rough go after my first kid. I wasn't really ready for life after that. Like sometimes life hits you in the face. But yeah, it helped me a lot, and it's something I should probably get back into. I could really like hold a meditation sort of trance or whatever you call it for a while. But you have to be careful because it does really make you quite inward and can bring out a lot of selfish feelings. So that to me is one warning. But the meditation itself, it's a nice way. Like as long as you're not so focused on it that you need to say like, oh, I didn't meditate today. I'm lashing out or whatever. It can make you selfish or like not a great partner in a way. Like I definitely found that, but there's a good balance in there, and it is very important, I think. But you can do it in a way like if you just can get off of all your devices and just sort of listen to some music or watch something happening outside and sort of just focus on that. But yeah, it's a powerful tool, but use it right.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dave. It's a satanic practice, and it's not something that I participate in. But I guess prayer is sort of like the same kind of thing.
Yeah, like if you're gonna do like like how the Catholics say the Rosary or whatever, right? You're sort of emptying your mind and just saying those words over and over again. It can bring you down to that same thing. But the cool thing, like certain parts of like meditation, of like bringing your breathing into line and sort of visualizing your breathing and stuff like that. That to me is pretty cool because we don't breathe well. We're hunched over our chairs. We're lounging on a couch or something, but just sitting up and breathing well for a couple of minutes, it does a lot of good for your body too.
Yeah. Okay.
But don't pay for the
TM.
TM stuff. Like those guys are scammers. Like the crazy scam.
The David Lynch stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Next question says, "How can I get more swaggy?" I think this is up to you, Dave. I'm not able to answer this question.
Not really a swag person.
I used to be a GQ kind of guy. Like I growing up, I was very into like, wearing slacks and stuff like that, not jeans when I would go out and stuff like that. It depends on what swaggy is to you. Like, do you sort of feel like you want to be more dressed up than the people you're around, or do you want to be like a hype beast? It means different things. Like to me, swaggy isn't being a hype beast, but rather just finding a nice look and committing to it. So like instead of wearing jeans and stuff out, just wear pants or something like that. Find what you think is swaggy and commit to it, and then do it for a while. That's about it. But
what I've learned from Leo over the years is get clothes that fit.
Oh yeah,
the fit is important.
That's important, yeah.
And then color choice needs to match your like tone, like your tone of your skin and your hair and stuff.
Like dark people like myself, we can wear a little bit brighter colors and stuff, but pale people, keep it kind of, more earth tones and stuff like that.
And then the other thing is like the shape of your face for haircuts and things like glasses and stuff like that. That's the important thing. That's all I know. I don't know how to actually apply that, but
yeah, buy a couple of GQs, or I don't know if that's still the main magazine, and find a look you like, and you can get into it, or whatever. I don't know. Who's a swaggy guy out there right now? Like I love Kodak Black, but I don't think wearing Sniper Gang apparel is really that swaggy. But we'll see.
Yeah, I have no idea. All right, let's just do this next one. It says, should I stop eating meat, using cars, doing things that add carbon to the atmosphere? If we're all going to die from climate change, it seems distasteful to keep contributing until that happens, like setting small fires on the Titanic as it begins to sink.
No. There's no point, really. Like they said, like people not driving and people not flying during the pandemic, it was like such a minuscule part of the actual carbon output of like regular life. Like it was like almost non-consequential. Like you taking that part of like air travel, car travel. You know what? you know what's huge? Like, it's part of my industry. Is like buildings. Like, buildings take so much energy to run. Like giant, like big buildings. Like the energy profile of a skyscraper, and you're living in a skyscraper or something like that, is phenomenal compared to what you think it would be like taking, like, you know, a flight to Cuba or something, or wherever you want to go. Like your carbon footprint's relatively small in that. Or I know eating meat's probably, you know, like a larger carbon footprint, like if you really got into it. But, you know, once they get more into like the sustainable things, like well managed grasslands are a great carbon sink as well. Like, the joke is, I always say I'm an eco-fascist, right? So one of the things that I want to change so much is, like, you know, ecology. But when you really look into it, the actual person is very low on the chain of things we can do to reduce carbon emissions. It's wild, like what the average person contributes to carbon emissions compared to, like, you know, our militaries, or to, like, you know, the Fortune 500 or wherever like that. You know, all that has to be like, just, you know, it has to be a somewhat of a fascist leadership that can totally nationalize that and change it, and change it to some renewable energy of some sort, or just end, or just say like oil dependence is done. You know, we got to find something else. Until there's that will in modern leadership, then we're totally screwed. Like, nothing you can do as a person is going to slow it down, unless you want to, like, you know, violently overthrow the, you know, the U.S. government and change, you know, the laws from the inside. But as a person, it's very hard for a person to make a dent in the environment. Like, people are saying they'll buy, you know, electric cars, but like, car pollution is so small now compared to the pollution that building new buildings is, and you know, the energy systems we use to, you know, run, you know, various parts of our industry. It's pretty insane. Like, I was really shocked that, you know, that commercial and residential housing accounts for 30% of our carbon output in Canada. Whereas cars are like 12%.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, the alternatives that you as an individual can go to, they're not really that much better. Like, if you stop eating meat, you're still getting vegetables that have been, like, shipped from, like, different continents.
Exactly, right? Unless you like
kind of thing.
doing the 100-mile diet or whatever. Like, if you can afford it, that's awesome. But most people can't. Like, you can't afford, you know, stuff that's locally grown, right? Like, it's crazy. Like, we've made our society. We live in a society, as the Joker would say, that that made it so hard for, you know, us to be healthy and to be more harmonious with the environment.
Yeah, you don't really get to set the rules. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. All right. Before the George Floyd protests, but already seeing the failure of the Bernie campaign, Big Dave talked about how there was a need for something big and revolts to wake people up a little bit more and advance over the growing alienation of the U.S. political situation. Considering all that happened after the spontaneous mass revolts that started in May 2020, what does Big Dave think should happen more to advance the political and class consciousness of the U.S. proletariat and oppressed nations? By the way, did Big Dave have a Lenin pre-1905 moment? Oh, that must be Lenin. Have a Lenin pre-1905 moment back in 2019, 2020?
No.
Okay, so yeah,
all that stuff is totally useless. Like, unless you're willing to take lives and lose your life, like on a mass scale, then none of these protests are worth anything. Like what did BLM accomplish? Like, it's, what's his name? Biden's in power. You know, he's already lied a million times about the checks.
We did it, Joe.
Yeah, like, unless, you know, like that joke, like, remember, it's time to start taking lives that meme that came out with the guy. Like he was.
I don't think I've seen that one.
It was like some Facebook post from a killer. Like he was, it's time to start taking lives. Like the bad grammar.
Yeah.
Instead of lives, and then you went out and killed some people. but yeah, it's just like, we're so, I don't know. We got it a bit better up here in Canada, and it's not even that good. But like at least I don't know what you can say. At least, right? But at least we won't go into like usury of like being forever in debt for university or healthcare. But things are so grim down there. Nobody seems to be ready to like actually. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to get you guys banned or anything, but yeah, like guys are like. I told this story like a bunch of times, but like some guy said that like his wife died and then like in birth, and then his baby died. That was like from that birth, and then the hospital sent him like a $40,000 bill, and he wrote a Twitter thread about it. Right? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe instead of writing a Twitter thread, you should like learn. Figure out how to make a suicide vest and like blow up like the headquarters of that insurance company and do something good for a change, right? Like, what's Twitter?
You're not the first person to express this sort of opinion on the podcast.
Right?
Like that exact same example.
That's why I came up with the who cares mentality, because anything I do, like I don't like being politically involved at this level, like as a average person. Is almost useless. Like, obviously you want to be interested and sort of engaged. Okay, I get that. But like me being
debatable, but
yeah,
okay.
Right. Like me being like a socialist or something or whatever. Like, unless I want to do something about it, it's nothing's going to change. Like unless I like want to really get involved in being elected to office or like I said, like some sort of armed revolt, then okay. But otherwise, I'm just spreading hot air online, or I'm spreading hot air to my friends, like getting mad at Justin Trudeau or something like that. Like nothing I say.
At the minimum, it's also possible that you are actually supporting these kind of like, I don't know, like these AOC types, and even someone like Bernie. I know everyone loves Bernie, but all that kind of stuff where it's like they feed on you kind of like doing things like that,
energy,
putting
like
your energy into stuff.
They suck your energy off while you could have been improving yourself, or you could have been improving your family's life or something like.
It's a pyramid scheme.
100%. Like unless there's, I don't know. It's all just, I don't know. What did King Solomon say? Vanity and chasing after the wind. Right? Like just focus on yourself, make your life better if you can, because none of these people care.
Yeah. And maybe some people disagree. There are some people who may feel a little bit more optimistic or have a little bit more like skin in the game about this sort of stuff. And I think that those people should do what they think is right and not feel threatened by other people who like don't see it that way. You know what I mean? I feel like if you're really about it, you're going to do it regardless of how many people you hear who think it's kind of not worth it or whatever,
Like I'm talking to Donald, like going from Chrétien to Harper to Trudeau, how much did your life really change in the average?
Yeah.
Like almost nothing from day-to-day stuff, right?
Sure. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So what can we do? Like that's like, I don't want to be like a nihilist in that way, but you just got to focus on like enjoying your small circle. And I have 3 kids, and I love educating them and letting them understand, like helping them to see the world the right way and making them be good people that will help their neighbors and stuff like that, and be kind and stuff like that. That to me is really exciting, but the rest of it is just sad.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the opposite of nihilism. I don't think it's nihilistic to think that politics are like bullshit or whatever.
Mhm.
I think, in fact, you can be extremely nihilistic by focusing so much on politics that you don't care about the rest of your life. You know?
Right. Yeah.
I think.
Mhm.
No, I don't think that's most people, but
Mhm.
there are some people. You can go on Twitter every day and
Mhm.
see them, and that's not good.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's much more important to like focus on things like you're talking about, family and just like your like relationships and your personal development and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's a balancing act, I guess.
That's way more fulfilling than like seeing like another politician like break his promise, or like, you know, your guy lost or something, you know, like just
Yep.
yeah, that kind of stuff is just like people like talk about doom scrolling or whatever like that's all it leads to. Just have fun with your circle and try to make your immediate life better around you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And some people are in situations where it's like literally life or death for them. Like politics is like a real thing, you know, like they have to fight for their lives. You're not going to be able to help them. You know what I mean? Like it's shitty, but it's just like you can't go stop every crime that happens. You can't go Batman and go fight crime in the city. You know, it's the same thing with politics. You're not really going to be able to do that.
Right.
The thing for me that really kind of tips me over the edge on this and kind of was like, yeah, I'm not really interested, is let's say that we are able to like build some big mass movement and they have all the right ideas, whatever you think those ideas are. They have all the right ideas about everything. We got everything primed and stuff. I just don't trust that we would actually have like even if that succeeds, we have a revolution that changes the government and it's got, you know, it wants to help people out and like do all this socialist-y kind of stuff or whatever. I don't know if that's really what would happen, you know, even if the movement was built up that way. Like,
Yeah.
it just doesn't work out perfectly like that. You know, that's just not how things work.
Yeah.
So you're going to end up with something, maybe it's different. Maybe you can really shake up the system or whatever, but chances are there's going to be a lot of bad things come out of that as well. And it's not going to just resolve all the problems in your life. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're still going to have those problems. And now you've committed so much energy into this project of like this political thing, and your life is still a mess. And now the politics thing happened, and it's kind of maybe some things are going okay, but some things aren't really going all right. And then your life still sucks. So I don't know. I feel like you get a lot more bang for your buck working on yourself.
Right. And that's what, like, you two guys are both like into like the spiritual side of things, and you know that can give you so much more fulfillment. Like, I think that's what some people sort of don't understand about that. And you know, I have it in my own way, but you know that gives you more satisfaction day to day than pinning your hopes to some politician or you know, some fandom or whatever, right? Like finding that internal spiritual peace, because you know, like there's so like this world is so out of control and so much out of your hands and out of your out of your, you know, control, like that you just, you know, that gives you that sort of that happiness and feeling of, you know, contentment. Whereas, you know, a totally secular life, you know, you end up with like that feeling of burnout and upset, you know, like it's just, you know, just the discontent, you know, it's tough. It's tough out there.
Yeah. I think it's fine to be engaged and stuff. It's just that the thing is you have to have a realistic expectation about what you're going to be able to contribute to, because especially like if you get into it in your early 20s or something, you know, it's very easy to be like, oh, I'm going to like help solve all the problems or something. You know, just kind of be like, I'm going to be the one that does it all. Or and maybe not explicitly, but like part of you is like, oh, this is so important that I have to really obsess about
exactly
doing all the right reading and doing all the right, going to all the right meetings and all that kind of stuff. And instead it's like, you know, it's something you can like chip in and help out with here and there, but like, and maybe do more if you find it fun and stuff. But like, yeah, you can't get into like superhero mentality on that kind of stuff. So yeah,
exactly, yeah,
for sure. Okay, let's move on here. The next one is a very important question. It says, do Hindustani Aryans have foreskins?
I'm not Hindustani. I'm Punjabi, but yes, I have foreskin. I think most of subcontinent has their foreskin, except for the Muslim-dominated areas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sucks to be them. Next question. Hey Don, my two siblings and I have inherited around 150,000 from a deceased relative, in addition to property worth 1.5 to 2 million. We will probably hang on to the property for the time being, but should be receiving the cash in a few months. I've been researching a lot about the safer long-term style investing. I think I'm going to put most of my money into TFSA and RRSP, invest for long-term returns, and maybe hope to retire around 40 or 50 years old. Do you have any advice in this regard? Any thoughts on the inherent riskiness of even long-term investments? If I buy an ETF that contains shares in oil companies and banks, should I, as a leftist, feel bad about it? I know you and Tom have spoken a bit about day trading and meme stonks, but maybe you want to talk about the safer style of investing in distinction to the riskier style. Okay, maybe we'll do this on a different episode, actually.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't read this before I started to read it out loud.
The TFSAs are
okay.
good. Just stick it all into TFSA, not RSPs, and buy stuff that gives you dividends. That seems safe. Talk to somebody. Don't do your own thing.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it on another one. But yeah.
Yeah, and that's not financial advice. I've learned that from watching YouTube. You're supposed to say this is not financial advice before you give financial advice.
This is Big Dave advice, not financial advice.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so what is the most bitch-made nationality in India? If I can just jump in real quick and say Indian.
Oh no.
Probably the whole Brahmin upper class, like especially now, like there's.
I agree.
Like, oh my god, they are just horrible people. Stuff they've been saying about like the farmers and like because the Dalits have joined the farmers, and so like that's made the Brahmin upper class even like more like agitated. Like it's amazing. Like there's like these sort of frontline like popular Bollywood people that are like going into like the full blood and soil type mentality, whereas like like here like that would never fly. Like if like say like Gal Gadot went full on like Palestinians are second class citizens, they deserve to die. Like obviously she was an IDF, she probably thinks that, but if she said that out loud, like she would be so canceled, and I doubt she'd ever get another movie, a big one. But like there's like a few like Bollywood actresses that are going crazy, but like it's crazy because like there was like that affirmative action type of thing in India where like like they brought Dalits up and they put them into positions of power, but in the past like 10-15 years it's all sort of been ruined. Like just the whole that's like the whole point of neoliberalism is put the elites back in charge again, right? So it's been totally like changed, and now Brahmins are in like every like major point of power. It's sad, and Gujarati Brahmins, I'll call good Jews out. The Jews in the subcontinent.
That's what came to mind for me.
Yeah. So let's just say they're on my shit list.
Yeah, Gujus. Well, let's just say they're very similar. Like if you're not really familiar with the whole like Indian demographic kind of situation, there's a certain group in the West that rhymes with Gujus.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, you can find that syllable within the word Gujarati, and they're very similar in the way they behave and dominate certain sectors of the economy and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Amen, brother.
And they deserve the same kind of.
You can see the like inbox of our host, whatever, going up and up and up with more and more complaints. Yeah.
Okay, this person asked this question about 700 times, so they seem to really want me to read this, I guess. How do I break free from the ruts I found myself in during quarantine? It's been harder to do my work and keep up with my friends and family.
You just gotta ruts. I don't know. Just do something different one day. Change your day. Make some phone calls in the morning. Talk to the people you haven't talked to. Just set a day aside, a week, where you do something different and hold yourself to it.
Mm-hmm. Usually,
Yeah.
if you're in a situation like that, you also have some bad habits. Like for me, I know it will often be that I'm like staying up super late for no reason. So if I was trying to like break out of that, I think that I would like set myself like a strict bedtime kind of a thing, and like just not allow myself to like stay up for no reason,
Mm-hmm.
and then that means I'm getting up earlier, and just that sort of helps things out. If your day is shifted a little bit just in terms of the time that you're like awake and what are you doing during that time, I think it just kind of goes hand in hand.
Right.
Sure. Yeah, just small changes to where you can, kind of thing. At least, like you could kind of emphasize one or two things a day you want to do that are different or something. So
Yeah, focus on one thing at a time. Don't try to just do everything all at once and hope that it works out. Like it's a process.
That's all you can do.
I read Joe Biden's COVID relief package, and I couldn't help but find this passage. The federal government acknowledges that female illiteracy is a fact of nature, and therefore we will cease all efforts to make women read. How did that get in there? I'm not really sure how that got in there, but I love it. That's great. I love Joe Biden more and more every day. He's the greatest president we've had since Trump.
I guess Tom's an intern for our boy Robinette.
Yeah, it's good to see him commit to that on paper. So
Yeah. I wonder if he's plugged into the You Can't Win, the whole universe here with his Catholic connections. Maybe he, being a radical leftist, he was like, oh, look at this radical leftist and Catholic. This is interesting. He started listening, got some of the ideas percolating around, and there we go. It's how you make the change that you want to see happen, people.
Yep.
Okay, let's do one more. Let me find a good one here. All right. This question is for the Big Dave app. When will you officially sponsor and open the Underground Railroad to Canadian citizenship for Twitter dads? Follow-up question. What recourse will I have against you when it turns out Canada is boring and my kids won't get oil pipeline jobs?
One of these days I'll adopt all my online children and make some sort of a home for kids to be able to, or other Twitter dogs to join the compound.
Mm-hmm.
But
is that an official kind of statement?
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I don't think like oil jobs are what we're looking for right now. We gotta figure something else out.
You could open up one of those like click farms.
Yeah,
like they have
cool.
in India.
Yeah, start selling Spotify listens.
And an Indian guy running a click farm full of like white guys doing it is sort of like poetic,
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Sure. I don't know, as long as I get a cut. So
all right, so this is the last one here. It says, Agile Tablet said that Big Dave has little dick energy on the No Goals pod. What does he think about that?
I get that. Me and Agile go way back. I think I've probably known her forever. She's like my little sister, so she's going to say hurtful things like that. But, I just keep trucking along. I feel like my energy is a bit visible for all people to see on my tweets, and you can judge from there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, fair enough. Cool. Well, yeah, thanks for coming on, Dave.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. Hope everybody was able to be educated and enjoyed this episode. And maybe next time I'm on, we'll find something more fascinating to discuss than my advice.
I don't know.
I think people appreciate your wisdom, so
Take that.
good to.
Yeah, all right. So if you enjoyed this episode and you'd like a second one every week, you can subscribe to our Patreon for $5, and you'll get that as well as access to our Discord where you can chat with us and our lovely community. And if you'd like to send in questions, you can go to the Twitter account for the podcast, which is @YouCan'tWinPod, and pinned you will find a tweet there which links to the Curious Cat. That's where you can send them in for the anonymous questions. And thank you for listening. We'll catch you next week.
Thanks, guys.
See you
Bye.
guys. Bye.
Can't win, can't lose.